Hello everyone. Today I got 3 more indie horror books for you to check out. I'm really loving this surge I'm seeing in indie horror, not just from the writers, but a lot of readers are really getting into that scene now, and it's exciting, and I always want to bring you some new talent that you might have not laid eyes on before, that might have flown under the radar, you know. And all 3 of these are very different, but they're all very exciting, very, very good. Different themes, so you can pick and choose, or, as I like to do, just buy them all. That's what I would recommend. But before we get started, I want to remind you that I have books for sale, and if you want to buy any of the books you see on your screen, you can do so at the link in the description. And if you want to buy me a coffee on Ko-Fi.com, that link is also in the description as well. All right. Let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called Cadaverous by J. Bauer. This is a great horror novel. This is just one of those easy to read, really fun. It'll go by quick, even though it is a full-length novel, but you'll really get into the story. This is about a 17-year-old kid. One day he goes to an Ozzy Osbourne concert. And that's the thing about this book, there are a lot of heavy metal references in here. And I really appreciate that because that's my jam. 80s thrash metal is like, it's just the genre I love the most. And but he goes to this Ozzy concert and something happens there that's a little weird, a little bit freaky, and he seems to be the only one that notices it. But because of this concert, he wants to get the band back together. He and his friends have a band. They've done some gigs before, but they kind of let it slide, and he decides he wants to get it back together because this is his life's goal. He wants to be a rock star. He wants to be on that stage, people yelling his name. It's all he can think about. He practices playing his guitar until his fingers bleed, and yet, despite all this practice, there are still times when he's not quite there, where he's just not playing up to to the standards that the band and maybe the audience expects, and it's really frustrating to him. Through a series of circumstances, which I'm not going to talk about because that's something you'll have to read on your own, how this comes about. But he decides to make a deal with a demon. A demon he's not even sure if he really believes in, but he figures, hey, what can it hurt if it's going to help my guitar playing? And this demon promises him the thing he wants the most. He promises him to be the best guitar rock player in the world as long as he serves this demon. So he decides, what the heck, let's go for it. They do a ritual and it works. Pretty soon he's a guitar god. He can listen to any song and play it automatically without even practicing. His fingers just sliding along the guitar, playing it perfectly. His friends are blown away. The audiences they play for are blown away. Their name, the band name, starts rising up the ranks there. People are talking about them. Everything is working out to plan. But when you make a deal with the demon, you got to live up to your end of the bargain. And that's where the terror and the bloodshed and all the horrible things come from, because this demon demands blood, sacrifice. And our main character is not really a killer. He has some very moral issues with committing murder, but that is overridden by his desire to keep this going, because if he doesn't fulfill what this demon wants, not only is he going to lose his gift, but he's going to lose his life. All the people he knows and loves are going to be killed as well by this demon, and he made the deal, so now he has to go through with it. He justifies the people he sacrifices by saying, well, these are kind of villainous people. And he's right. The people he chooses for sacrifice are bullies and racists and homophobes and abusers. And his thinking is, well, I'm ridding the world of these kind of people. At the same time, I'm getting this tremendous gift out of it. I'm going to be the biggest rock star in the world. So maybe it's the right thing to do. But of course, that can never be justified. And this book is very bloody at times. We are going to see these sacrifices and how these rituals have to be done when he sacrifices these people. It's very bloody, it's very brutal, but behind all that bloodshed there is this great story about what would you do for your dreams, you know. This book is written in first person perspective from our main character, but at the end we're going to be faced with a question that perhaps he's an unreliable narrator. Perhaps he didn't do these things for fame and fortune. Maybe he just lost touch with reality and did it because he wanted to. The book's going to leave that for you to decide. But getting there is a lot of fun. This is a fantastic story. It's got a lot of heavy metal references. It's got a lot of bloodshed. It's got a lot of drama in there between him and his bandmates and this other person who kind of brings all this about. And it's just a well-written, fast-paced, excellent book. I can't recommend it enough. Pick up Cadaverous by Jay Bauer at the link in the description. And next, we have an anthology. This one is coming out on September 12th. But the pre-order price, guys, I just found out today, as a matter of fact, the pre-order price for this is only 99 cents, less than $1. And that is a bargain and a half. There's no way you can pass this one up. And just look at that title. Oh fuck, it hurts. By Ruth Anna Evans. And there's also a story in there, one story at the end by Rick Hoskin. This is an anthology of extreme medical horror. We're dealing with the healthcare system as a whole in some stories, and in some stories different medical conditions that require treatments that just don't go right. And there's a lot of body horror in here. This book is depraved. This book is delightfully disgusting. This book is kind of ooey and gooey and oozy, you know. Everything you'd expect in an extreme horror novel, but yet each of these stories is also very well written, give you a case of the shivers, you know. And there's all kinds of medical things in here. We got colonoscopies, we got childbirth, we got little sores that take a very disgusting turn. And the treatment is even more disgusting when you read about that one. There's a couple in here I do want to talk about though. One is about a morbidly obese woman who is going to have an extreme medical procedure done to help her get rid of her fat, and it actually works, but what happens when it works is absolutely disgusting and terrifying, and I mean that in a good way. This one is really good because it kind of brings up that old saying, you know, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. The consequences, the results of what you actually wanted might be much, much worse than the original condition that you had. And this book really also touches on that theme of how people are always worried about their weight and being fat shamed and having family members and maybe friends ashamed to be seen with them because of their weight. And the extreme measures people will go through just to try to lose a few pounds, and it does that in a very extreme way. And yeah, you'll be cringing at this one in a good way. You know, oh my God, I can't believe I just read that. The visuals will be stuck in your head, but it's still a very good story. Another one is about a woman who takes some medication. Just a topical solution for some hair loss, and she gets these extreme side effects, like the worst side effects you can have from this drug, and it starts putting boils and blisters and on her head. And the only way the doctors can get rid of it is by prescribing other drugs to her to alleviate those symptoms. And yet every time she takes another drug to get rid of the symptoms of the previous drug, she gets the extreme side effects from the other drugs. And it just keeps going and going and going, and over the course of this story her body just starts breaking down and deteriorating and sloughing off, and she is just a big physical gooey mess by the end of it. But I love that concept. I thought it was great. She's stuck in this perpetual wheel of suffering, because every time she takes a drug to get rid of the pain from the other drug, she experiences the side effects of this drug, and it just keeps going and going and going. Some of the other themes in this anthology are the healthcare system itself, how corrupt and evil it is, and I think we see more of that in our society today, including the first story, which is very short, the shortest one probably in the anthology, But yeah, once you read that first one, you're going to be like, yeah, I can see that happening. Like, it's not really extreme or bloody like the rest of the stories, but you can see that happening. And yeah, this is an excellent, excellent anthology. And I highly, highly recommend it. You do want to pick this one up. Like I said, it's only 99 cents for the pre-order. The link is in the description. You should go ahead and do that now, I think. And finally, we have Brothers of Blood by J.T. Patton. This is a new series for him. He's doing a series of books of New Orleans legends and lore series. That's going to be the theme of this series, and he starts out with this fantastic novella. This is a vampire story, but it's seen from the eyes of twin boys, and their mother dies under mysterious circumstances. Their father dies under mysterious circumstances shortly thereafter. They have an uncle who has some money, but he wants nothing to do with them. He kicks them out. Says, I'm not going to give you anything. This is set in the early 1900s, by the way, so you know, that was acceptable at that time. The uncle just says, go make your own way, be your own men, leave me alone, don't come back and see me ever again, basically. So they're left homeless and on their own with no money and nothing to eat, nothing to drink. And they decide to rob a man, and they have a gun, but when they shoot the guy, nothing happens. It doesn't appear to even affect him. But this man, instead of tearing them apart or harming them, he takes them back to his mansion and says, listen, you can stay here as long as you want. I'll give you shelter. I'll give you all the food you can eat. I'll give you all the drink you can drink. I'll give you other pleasures of the flesh that you wouldn't otherwise experience. And all you got to do is work for me. Well, this man drinks blood. And he, over the course of time, encourages them to drink blood. But the thing about this is that, like, he can walk around in the daytime. So is he a vampire or is he not a vampire? That's kind of a question in this story. Because in some respects, he seems to have the vitality and the healing properties that would be associated with that. And as these boys drink blood with their, you know, with him, with his various meals and drinks and whatever, some of the physical pains that they have seem to be healed. But really, we're all wondering, is this man a vampire? Is he turning these into vampire? Or is he just a very rich, eccentric, maybe crazy guy? We will get the answers to that at the end. But this was a very exciting, very well thought out, different kind of take on a vampire, set in New Orleans, early 1900s. Yeah, and it's full of action, it's full of suspense, it's full of dread. What more do you want? And I definitely, highly, highly recommend Brothers of Blood by J.T. Patton. And again, the link is in the description. So there you go. There's 3 more indie horror books that you can sink your teeth into, especially the vampire one, right? Hey. But yeah, check out those links down below. You can find all 3 there. They're all very much worth your money, worth your attention and time. And I hope you enjoy them if you decide to purchase them. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.